Hello, everybody.
Can you see me?
There you are. Hello.
Hi. And so there is this icon at the bottom which allows what? Okay, it allows to share my screen. So I'll just quickly check sharing screen as.
Perfect.
And so what can see? What can you see if I have nothing? Now can you see this?
I see a PowerPoint which says narration.
Perfect.
Right?
And
Whichever portion of the screen you want to maximize, you just double click on it, and that's what this three box.
okay, okay, got it. I'm actually getting a hang of it. Okay, let me just open the video I want.
Just so you know.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
So I said, just so you know, there are 9 people.
My God, this. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. Okay, here it is. Let me just keep this under separate so that I can see. How do we know that people have started joining the room?
So if you see on the top, you will see a small window, a small eye, which shows you the count of the number.
Right. Yes. Yes. So we can see 3. Okay. And when 3 out of 9 is there, what does it mean?
There's 3 windows on the screen, which is 3 things being presented and total of 9.
Okay. And is my surrounding very dark? Should I turn on few lights or something?
No, I think it's just perfect. You know, with the lighting and everything, I think you're well lit. So we're all there.
Okay. Okay. And am I audible fairly enough or?
Loud and clear. No change needed.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. I'll just quickly set my video as well. Perfect. And so now, if you can hear my video clearly.
Yes.
Mark and Molly. They were just given some plans. The only problem is that neither Mark nor Molly has a green thumb. In order to keep.
So now, if I come back to this screen, I will lose the video, isn't it? I will start sharing this screen, isn't it?
Right. Whatever you share on your video will be seen like a small like a thumbnail at the bottom. You're sent my right now. As soon as we start talking, I will basically switch on the video so that we can't
Okay, so now you can see this video only, right?
You have stopped sharing, so I don't see anything.
Okay.
Keep the plants healthy. Mark and Molly need to figure out how much water the plants need. Mark and he places it in the window. Mark decides to give his plant 100 milliliters of water once a week. Molly hides her plant from Mark.
Does it show anything?
She places it in the closet.
Okay. I don't see your screen being shared at all.
he decides to water liters of water.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Mark's plant is green.
So yeah, so what I realized is I need to be there on the video screen and not on the hop-in screen. If I have to share a video, I have to be there on video screen and not on hop-in screen. Got it. Yeah, perfect. And so I am ready as soon as you ask me to get started.
Okay, all right. So sure. So we have about 16, 16 people on the session right now. So let's see. All right. So hold on one second. Give it time for people.
Krishna, I find it tiny bit difficult to hear you. Probably need to be a little closer to the system or something. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, better.
My speaker actually is weird at times. Okay. We have, I mean, as soon as we take about 22, 23 people, so this is fantastic. So we will get started. You can start the speech as soon as you're ready. So, firstly, hello and welcome, everybody. Very excited to be here with you for the session on learning small for agility growth. Firstly, let me tell you that the structure of 60 minutes. There are 3 parts to this. The first part is about the speaker introduction. The second part is about the real and in part C, we will do the Q&A. So for questions, please make sure you use the session chat, not the event session chat. I will select questions along the way, and towards the end, they will answer them. About halfway through this session, you will see that the poll session is activated, so you can start giving your feedback. And I, strongly encourage you to take a minute to share your feedback for the session because that means a lot to speakers, and we will really love your feedback. So, without further ado, let's get to part 1, which is the speaker's introduction, and our speaker for this session is the Community Outreach Chief for India at Agile Alliance. She is an Agile practitioner, experienced in creating, leading, and managing Agile teams in a distributed setup and local as well, of course. And her passion has given her the experience of exploring different flavors of agility, which is Lean, Scrum, and Kanban as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the speaker for today's session, Deepti Jain. Deepti, over to you.
Thank you, Krishna. And despite being in different cities and absolutely remote, you just gave such a warm welcome, and it just feels nothing like a 5-star platform, all podium for yourself, and I can hear clapping. Thank you. And hi guys, I'm very excited to be here with you all. I desperately miss that human interaction, and I had my flights and hotel booked, and I was so looking forward to it. Now, that said, it's all gone for a toss for almost everyone. And I'm so happy that RSG Hyderabad has still managed to pull through this. And it's a new platform, I guess, hop in for everyone. And so, COVID took away opportunity to meet and do so many things and so many plans. That said, if we look at the hindsight, we actually got to meet a lot of us who probably have dropped the whole idea of coming and joining because of travel and all. This year also, we had a lot of international speakers joining us all in various events that I've seen in India and across the globe, all because of COVID, because we all went virtual. So in a certain way, we all actually got to connect with each other and, know each other. And so without further delaying anything else, let me share my screen. And today we are going to learn how to implement. And now one of you have to tell me if you can check out my slides. It's a new tool for me as well, so I can be. Okay, Ashish said yes. Thank you, Ashish. Hi, Ashish. All right, so back to the presentation and today's talk. Uh, I wish we had some other medium so that we all can interact more. But today's talk is all about experiments, how we can create experiments wherein we just don't fail fast, but we learn fast. And with that learning, we create fast. And keeping that in mind, Utah and John, who are co-creators of Bossa Nova. Bossa Nova is a book, not just a book, actually a compilation of their experience of many decades and working with many clients across the globe, wherein they talk about beyond budget, sociocracy, agile, and open space. That's Bossa Nova. And in this Bossa Nova, there is this one element which is called probes, wherein they talk about how to define experiments, how to make these experiments safe to fail, how to make these experiments small and meaningful, and how to generate meaningful KPIs so that you can not just randomly say, as we complain in agile, that we'll not measure in those elaborated metrics, but then how to measure. So probes not just helps you define experiments, but it also helps you in creating meaningful KPIs. So let's explore. All right, so as I said, these are few points which we will touch today: agility and need for experiments. How do we design our experiments? Where do we go wrong while we are designing our experiments? And how we can design safe to fail experiments. And then we talk about, okay, probes. What is probes? What is the structure? How can we get hold of it, and how we can actually modify it? Then how does probe work and how it can help us? And last but not the least, does it involve peer learning? How does peer learning help? So I'm going to again go back to our platform where we are collaborating and quickly check in the chat just to ensure that everything is there. And Krishna just suggested maximize. Perfect. Now I have maximized. Is it maximum for everyone? Okay, cool. I'm guessing it is yes. So what happens, when we try to achieve agility? What do we do? PDCA, everyone know the PDCA loop, right? But when we, do PDCA, plan, do, check, act, what are we actually doing? We're basically doing an experiment. We plan something, we see what is the outcome of that experiment, and whatever adaptation, adjustment, realignment is required, we do that, and accordingly, we act. So this is an experiment design. We are measuring and we are adjusting. I guess everyone will agree to that. And so when we do that, what do we have? We have a certain hypothesis. On what basis, if we go back and we think retrospect, on what basis do we create a plan? Do we create an experiment? We basically have a certain idea. This is how things work. This is how it can go wrong. This is what I know, and this is what I don't know, right? And this is all my understanding. On the basis of that understanding, I define, let us try this. And trying out this will help us understand these XYZ things. So what all is this? If we scientifically talk about it, that is hypothesis. So for every experiment, the core is hypothesis. On the basis of this hypothesis, you define your plan, you execute your plan, you measure your plan, and accordingly, you adjust your plan. And so for agility, we need experiments, and every experiment is based on a certain hypothesis. And what is hypothesis? Hypothesis is a certain theory, your belief based on what? Your environment, your experience, your failures and your success and your feedback that you have received, what you have observed, and what you fear, what you don't know. So yeah. Okay, so when we talk about experiments, as we see, we all have already been doing experiments. So how to make those experiments safe? Because, if we don't make them safe, it can be a big bang for us, or it can be a certain kind of blast. It can actually take away all the sanctioned sponsorship that we have received. So we have to take tiny steps, and that's what Agile says. You don't go big bang, you do iterative. You measure, what is the outcome, and then accordingly you keep on building, you keep on scaling, right? So we need safety in our experiments, and so yeah, we do experiments in Agile, and we also call for safety in our experiments. And I'm not teaching you Agile here, but you will see everything relates to Agile and agility here, because ultimately, yes, we all are in any which ways trying to achieve agility, so that we can not just be surviving but thriving in business, in current scenarios, in our organization, and altogether as humanity. All right, so considering all of this, Utah and John created probes. So which is in action throughout, you will see. Everywhere, whenever you have a confusion, or you have a certain experiment to run, or you have a certain project in place and which is new, which is what we do in Agile. We explore, we are mostly in the exploratory zone. We have probes. And what are probes? So if we define, probes are safe to fail experiments based on hypothesis driven from the reflection of current situation as well as theory. So it's not just totally theory. So let's say we have just learned a framework and we are coming and applying it. No, it's based on experiment as well as theory. And it's a reflection of what we have done, what we are assuming can be done. And so if you look at this loop, if you look at this cycle here, first of all, you have a situation, or you want a desired outcome. And for that desired outcome, what do you have? You have a certain experiment and you have some amount of theory in your head that this is how we further need to act to the previous experiment. So with this reflection on current situation, on the desired outcome, you design a probe. We will see how to design a probe, but let's just look at the loop. Look at look at the PDCA cycle here. We design the probe, we try this experiment, and then we reflect again. And so this is how this loop goes on. But then you'll see there is an additional arm to it. And what does this arm say? It says, do it with peers. Why? We will figure it out why. Okay, so this is the structure of a probe. In this probe, what are we doing in order to define? So if I have to tell, a framework or a structure, the best example is Scrum, right? So in Scrum, we know, why do we need a framework? So that we can hold on to it, so that we can define something. Otherwise, our thoughts are very abstract. And so similarly, in order to define a probe, you will see we have a structure to hold on to. We have a framework, we have few steps, very, simple. Now, simple doesn't mean easy, so don't get confused. And so if when you define your probe and you suddenly run into certain kind of obstacles, don't get disheartened. It is simple, but it's not easy. And why? Because our brain works in certain fashion. It provides you abundance of information. And so when you sit down and you write a probe and you get overwhelmed, don't worry. Okay, so what is happening in a probe? You have a name for probe, and which is mostly a question that is reflecting on hypothesis. I'll take one example, and which is current scenario, and which is we all are working from home, right? And this was actually a real-time reflection which came from a previous session. Someone suggested, why don't we continue work from home? This is so convenient. We are able to stay connected to our families, and yet we are working fully and we are delivering. And then, the voice from the audience came, which was from a manager, and he said, ask me how difficult it is me to coordinate with everyone and ensure the productivity. And so yeah, as much as we look at one side, there are many other voices which will help us in reflecting better. And so that's why if I go back, publish to peer, the additional arm, which we see in this cycle, it says, have all the voices. And having all the voices not only refine your reflection, but it also creates your tribe, or tells you even before failing, it tells you, oh, you're going to fail. And so you can actually, inspect and adapt on that. All right. So we have a name for probe, which is mostly a question. So going back to the example, if I have to have a question here, the question becomes, is working from home, even after COVID, result in desired productivity? So, that was the probe which came out. All right. So then what do? We take a step back for the question that we are asking. Okay, guys, before I proceed, I want you to think in your head, what is the literal meaning of probe? And I'm sure, of course, you all will say it's a question, it's interrogation, it's digging deep, right? And what is the name, format of name? It's a question. So that's why every time when you want to construct a probe, an experiment, a tiny experiment, a safe to fail experiment, question your hypothesis, whatever hypothesis you are presenting. So for example, in this case, the hypothesis this lady from the audience was presenting, that work from home will be effective, it will be productive, because it will keep employees satisfied, taken care, and hence, the productivity will increase. But there was a question from the managers in the audience. All right, so let's look at the background. So the background she gave was, before COVID, we were all going offices, we were stuck in traffic, we were away from our families, back of our mind, we were worrying about them. When we went back home, our kids and all the responsibilities, caregiving to our other family members, all of that will cling on to us. And so there is no peace of mind, and there is constant worry, and there is constant exhaustion. So the background was that. And so somebody who was proposing this said that if we were allowed to work from home even after COVID, we will be equally productive. So let's look at, this was the background. So let's look at what is our hypothesis. So what is a hypothesis? Hypothesis is actually a theory based on your previous experience and all that you have read, all that you have heard. Define what you expect to happen. When we are defining our hypothesis, think of what is it that you are expecting to happen and what is the impact you think. So here we are expecting that if we are allowed to work from home post-COVID, our productivity will increase. That is the impact. Now, this is what? This is an assumption. Hypothesis is your assumption based on what you are experiencing. And that is so not necessarily applicable for everyone. And so now what are we doing? When we are defining our safe to fail experiment, it will be a question to our hypothesis. And this hypothesis will be based on the entire background, entire theory and the experiment or the experience which we had in past. And so now here we define our safe to fail experiment. So how do we define our safe to fail experiment? We will talk about, let us do a few things which will result in certain things. Okay, so define what do you want to try and how you can approve and disapprove your hypothesis. So for example, if we reflect on working from home, what is going to approve that yes, our families will be taken care, we will have that mental peace, the psychological safety will be there, and we have already experienced it, and we have already created result, and we are already working in this setup, so organizations are also ready. This is all proving our hypothesis. Wherein when we talk about disapproving our hypothesis, it is no, managers find it very difficult to coordinate. Teams find it difficult to communicate and coordinate among us, themselves. There is a delay. And now I am not telling what has been told to me. I am randomly proposing the points which I have heard from different people, ranging from software developer to, operations managers and delivery managers and VPs and all. So all these points will be there, you will assess them, and based on that, you will refine your experiment. Okay, so let's look at this further. Now, when we are defining our probe, where all can we go wrong? This is what was the point which was gathered from the similar discussion of probe, which is, will work from home increase productivities of employees. Work from home post COVID will increase productivity of employees. And so these were certain they jotted down, and they all brainstormed where they felt things can go wrong. For example, of course, internet is such a big issue because right now, let's say if electricity goes off, it takes me 30 seconds, to come back, or there can be a taking risk with the client's confidentiality. There are other impacts. For example, your pet, your family member, anybody who comes in, and that whole formal goes for a toss. I told my son especially that don't come and ask for anything right now. Ask your dad. So there are many things which can go wrong in your probes, and we'll talk about how we can take care of that as well. And so, guys, as we are talking continuously, think of probe is a experiment, a safe to fail experiment, a small experiment, which will not just help you fail fast, but it will also help you recover fast and improve fast and generate results fast. All right. So then when we are talking about where all we can go wrong, I want to bring forward the very famous case studies of Hawthorne's. What happened in the 1920s and 30s, there was an experiment conducted. And in this experiment, this was done in Hawthorne Works Electric Company, which creates electric bulb. No, they're creating a lot of electronic appliances. I am only focused on bulb and light. So now this company felt that the productivity of floor workers is not too a lot, and so they engaged consulting company, few researchers who can help them increase productivity. And they felt that on the floor light is very dim, and so what did they do? They increased the intensity of light, and as soon as they increased the intensity of light on the floor, productivity increased. They decided that yes, this is a successful experiment. Let us further increase the intensity of light. And they did further increase. Then they further increased. And every time they increased the intensity of light, they realized and they found out that the productivity was shooting high and to a point where it can't go further up. Now, 30 years later, Henry Lundsberger, who was, a researcher, he went and he thought that was it really in effect or there was something else in play. And what he found out that it was not the intensity of bulbs that was helping, but it was actually the attention that these floor workers who were receiving for the first time in their life. And so a lot of time we can go wrong. So going back to the previous example, we can feel that productivity is increased because, work from home has given us so much of comfort, safety, and we are able to take care of our family. But imagine what happens when all the malls and markets and everything is open and we are human, and so won't be tempted to sneak out and go and quickly wrap up our grocery shopping. It always starts with necessities, and then it goes on to comfort, and then it becomes a luxury in our minds. So probably we will start with wrapping up one tiny thing, and then we'll be like, okay, let's go for shopping as well, and then we'll be like, I have wrapped up my work, let's just quickly go and watch movie. So things can progress in that direction. And so that's where what we always assume in our experiment can prove the hypothesis. It can also disprove the hypothesis. And so we need to be very careful when we are considering what all can go wrong. And so this was one example. There is another example. If, let's say, 3 different teams are trying out something, haven't we heard a lot of time, let's try Scrum, or let's try Spotify, or let's try, create a value stream and try out SAFe and stuff like that? When we do all of that, we choose pilot teams, and a lot of time different teams generate different results. Why? For a simple reason, the ingredients which are going out and going in are different for all teams. And so thinking that one probe which is applicable to a one controlled environment experiment will be applicable to the other might be wrong. And that is where we can go wrong. And that is where we actually mostly go wrong. And so I want to quickly show you a video for the controlled environment. And when I'll switch to video, I will hope for your thumbs up that you are able to look at my screen. I have switched on to video and I haven't started it. And I go and check. Can you look at the YouTube video? Can someone say yes or no? Yes, perfect. So I go back to the video and I'm playing this video, and this video will help you see how two people carried out intentionally same experiment yet received different results.
Control experiments. Meet Mark and Molly. They were just given some plants. The only problem is that neither Mark nor Molly has a green thumb. In order to keep the plants healthy, Mark and Molly need to figure out how much water the plants need. Mark takes his plant and he places it in the window. Mark decides to give his plant 100 milliliters of water once a week. Molly hides her plant from Mark. She places it in the closet. There, she decides to water it with 100 milliliters of water 3 times a week. Mark's plant is green, tall, and healthy. Molly's is not looking so healthy. Mark concludes that it's better to water a plant once a week. Although Mark's plant is healthier, something in this comparison is not fair. If you remember, Mark's plant received sunlight while Molly's did not. To figure out how much water plants need, Mark and Molly needed to set up a controlled experiment. In this type of experiment, everything stays the same except one variable. Both plants need to be planted in the same size pot, using the same type of soil and the same amount of soil. Each plant needs to be in the same temperature, and what Mark and Molly did not do was give each plant the same amount of sunlight. Then, one part of the experiment can be manipulated. In our example, the amount of water used to water the plants is the only difference between the two plants. This part of the experiment is called the independent variable. The results are different this time. Given equal amounts of sunlight, we see that the plant responded better to Molly's amount of water. To ensure accuracy of the experiment, Mark and Molly could repeat this a few times just to make sure they didn't make any mistakes. Controlled experiments are used in science all the time. Just remember to keep everything constant except one variable.
Okay, so before I proceed, I wanted to quickly see some of your takeaways. Because otherwise it will be just me who is going on and on and on. And I don't want to bore you. So in your chat, can you type some of the key takeaways that you had from videos, and also some of the observations where you feel the experiments can go wrong? And so let me just start typing myself. I think I also need to stop sharing the screen. Yes. So those of you who are listening and who haven't left their systems unattended with video on, can you please provide some input in chat which says where our experiments can go wrong? You must have had some takeaways from the videos. Thank you, Satish. Yes. Thanks, Priya. Too many assumptions, absolutely. When you try and weigh too many things, it is actually very. You can't have a lot in this video. You can't change the soil as well as water as well as environment. I think we did not consider what kind of stuff. Absolutely, we did not consider, Sandeep. Yes, No enough research before action. Absolutely, Sonia. We need to have some research in the action. Yeah. I think I shouldn't be greedy. I'm really happy to see at least 4 of you are awake and not away from your system, leaving it unattended. So I go back to the presentation. Okay, before I go back to the presentation, I request, can we recap whatever we have learned? I will start with the first pointer. Thank you so much, Sonia. So the first pointer which I have, where we have reached so far is we are learning to design, most important, safe to fail experiments. Thank you, Ashish. And so when we are defining to create safe to fail experiments, we not awesome, we need to do small experiments. That's really very important. And so what are our experiments based on? It should be controlled, absolutely. But what is our experiment based on? What is the core? Hypothesis, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, it is based on, and hypothesis is what? Experiment is assumptions, exactly. Hypothesis is, of course, a possible solution for the problem, which is again assumption based. And these assumptions are based on our experience with different things and the stories we have heard. I mean, the experiments of others. So these are assumptions. This is a theory based on our and experiments of others, experiences of ours and others. Perfect. So we have assumptions, we have hypotheses, we want to create safe to fail experiments, and we have also, before discussing all of this, discussed where it can go wrong. All right, so let's jump back to the presentation. I'm truly thankful to you all for being there with me. Okay, my entire screen is shared and I double click it to make it maximize and I go back to the presentation. All right. So we were talking about how we can go wrong when we are defining, how we go blinded with our biases when we are defining the probe. Okay, let's again look at hypothesis and experiment. Hypothesis defines the pattern or the correlation, the relationship you expect to see. Of course, our biases, our experience, they help us define, they help us see the possibility, how a certain thing can be made possible, how the solutioning can be made possible. Make a statement in the form under A and B condition. If we do X, we will observe Y results as measured by quantitative measurement. So if I go back to the work from home example, under post-COVID scenario, if we allow employees to work from home, we will observe that the productivity will be maintained or it will increase. And we will measure it by what? Number of bugs solved or the increasing velocity or the, productivity count, which is features delivered or something. Now this is, I am shouting out, in terms of how we look at productivity in agile teams and agile software development. And it can be wrong. I'm just giving example. And so what are the experiments? Experiments, be sure to measure pre and post without comparison. So we have to define what is productivity right now, which is pre-COVID scenario, and what is the productivity post-COVID scenario. Okay, so when we are defining our experiment, here is how we define our hypothesis, and here is how we are defining our experiment. So when we are defining our experiment, we have to keep in mind both pre and post comparisons of the quantitative measurements that we are defining. How long the experiment will go, what would you do to keep experiments safe? Safety is our primary concern. We just cannot. So we have still not covered how we can, talk about safety. So far, we have talked about, of course, experiment is heart of going agile, and hypothesis is heart of experiments. And probes require hypothesis with measurable KPIs for for our experiment to be defined failure or success. But we have still not talked about how we can make them safe. All we are talking about, yes, we know that we have to keep them safe. Okay, and that is where your peer learning comes into action. It is very important to have your peers enrollment. If you are planning something, you're planning big, what do you need? You want your manager to approve you, you want your team members to be on your side to help you, you want participate other teams, intra team kind of thing, where they support you and help you. Otherwise your pilot fails. You must have had an awesome idea, an awesome proposal, and with a lot of difficulty, all the approvals were in place. There was a sponsorship also, yet you could not, take it to the success. Why? Because you did not have support of your superiors, from your juniors, from your peers, and that's why peer learning, and that's why publishing to peer is most important. Everything that has been great and successful is only because it was a co-creation, it was a co-ownership based activity. And so what do? Nobody knows everything, and obvious is not so obvious. I mean, I always say obvious is not so obvious. By the way, I want to claim also that obvious is not so obvious is my copyright statement. So my obvious will differ from your obvious and vice versa. And so when we publish, we get ideas, we get input, and we also gauge the support we have from all the directions when we are publishing our probe. And hence we have an opportunity to reflect, an opportunity to inspect and adapt, and kind of make it a safe to fail experiment. And even if when we fall, it is we all fall together, and so there is no blame game. And so that is what is importance of your peer learning. And so now I want to quickly show you one of the probes which have been created for real time. And this is from Ashish Agarwal, and Ashish is with us, and Ashish is also part of Regional Scrum Gathering team, and he has been working very closely with Scrum Alliance as well as Agile Alliance. And so this was one of the selected and highlighted, and very humble, very grounded, a probe that is very close to us. So what was the probe? How to enable teams to discuss openly their impediments and improve in retrospective. So, he wrote this problem statement, this probe statement, so very humbly, where there is no finger pointing, and it's not sounding negative. Because as soon as we are like questioning, it becomes pointing finger a lot of time. So this problem scenario was, whenever managers are involved, everyone gets conscious. Everyone worries that if they will point out problems, manager will get hold of them in one-on-one meetings or in appraisal. Or managers will say, fine, you raise this problem, what is the solution? You think this is the solution, you own it, you deliver it. Okay, so that was the fear from where a lot of team members were coming. And so how he defined, I really find the statement beautiful. How can we enable teams to discuss openly their impediments and improve retrospective? When we were discussing this, in the peer workshop, everyone said, removing managers help in making retrospective better. That was the statement everyone else proposed, which was such a finger pointing. Right now in probes, we are doing humble inquiry, guys. Humble inquiry is what we have to keep, in our heart when we are defining the question, defining the title of probe. All right, so he gave the background. Agile is being followed in most of the teams and organizations now. They are also doing retrospective, but most of the times the right set of impediments and improvements are not the output of these retrospective meetings, as they fear that if they speak up, it will impact their appraisals. How nice. So the hypothesis, if we do not have managers in the retrospective, then the teams will open up and with their impediments and improve as they will feel safe. So what was the experiment? Experiment was not have managers in the retrospective and see what is the impact. So now he defined his KPIs, how many genuine impediments were discussed, how many team members started opening up, what was their happiness index towards just the retrospective, not as a whole. How did they feel, in the retrospective, the safety index he defined. So he put across a lot of KPIs. Definitely we have not mentioned those KPIs because of course, you have to put your KPI and all of that. And so if you want to check more of such KPIs and more of such probes, I will encourage you to go on this website. I'll show you. Okay, it's here. Yeah. here, Utah and John have published a lot of probes on their website. Uh, Here, there are probes which came from First Marathon. So, what Utah and John started doing, they run these cohorts of learning probes wherein you can actually, join from different agilists all across the world. They have already run some 3-4 cohorts for creating probes. So the awesome thing that happens is they run it across few months and not just like a 1-day session or something. And all these sessions are 1.5 hour or say 2 hours long over different weekends. And they teach how to define safe to fail experiment, what all is to be considered and not. Each session has a exercise, and believe me, if you are zero on a certain exercise, they can personally work with you, and that's the kind of engagement they offer. And then you go back taking your probes, you try them out in your organization, and then you meet, say, after a month's time or so, wherein you improve, you reflect on your probes. Also, you all are divided into smaller groups. So entire cohort is divided into a group of 3-4 people, and then they connect and they discuss, and amazing learning comes out. I have cohorts, and that's where I know all of this. And of course, if you're interested, they are going to host another cohort in October. So yeah, you should totally not miss that. So now that was all which I had in probes, and I can just go on actually about this whole thing. Here are some of my information on the cohorts which are planned to happen. Oh, fourth has already happened. Okay, no, I think then fifth is there, or sixth is there. I'm not sure which cohort they are right now. So guys, that was all from my side. And now, I want to be open for questions. So yeah.
Yes, so there's a question from Chandrasekhar. He asks, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So Chandrasekhar asks, how different is design thinking approach and safe to fail experiment? It looks very similar from the problem statement or the idea. Asking questions or probing to find the root cause of experiments and to test which is to publish. So that's the question from Chandra. Thank you for asking this question, Chandra.
Yeah, and thanks, Krishna, for helping. So, see, design thinking is thinking about the entire product out and out. Of course, it can be a problem solution to a problem scenario also, but it's mostly focused on product. And I will not go into details of design thinking because I know you all are experts. But yes, I take the privilege to say on probes again. Probes are smaller experiments. It's not like, this lavish, long Big Bang experiment design. No, it's a very small one. Like we focused on, solving one problem scenario of retrospective. If you go back to the retrospective and there are tons of problems, people are not opening up. Even if managers are not involved, people are so demotivated. Why? Because in the organization, there is no system of removing impediments, right? So it's not just all the problems, how we can improve our retrospective. No, that was not the probe. Probe was like, okay, this is what is impacting my entire retrospective, and then can be 10 such issues. And so in the probes, you will realize there is further a probe. So let's say if we would have said how to improve our retrospective, we probably would have 10 different probes in that direction. I hope that answers, Krishna, Chandrasekhar. And in case it doesn't, I'm like open for the discussion. Yeah. Okay, so there is this one from Pawan. It says, you have given a good structure to how do an experiment all the while I was doing the same. Now I know how my next experiment should be. Thank you. Thank you. So Ashish, this is not Agile Scrum team then. Oh, you still do retrospective. I know that the question is for Ashish, but I take the liberty to respond, Bhupal. If you don't have Agile and Scrum team, you have different pattern of team, but there must be some way of RCA or retrospective, and you can apply it there. And you can always request your management that, we want to run it in this fashion. Will you allow it? We want to own it. If you don't want to say you want to get away with managers, because Agile Scrum actually enables you in saying that, you can always propose, we want to own this. We want to first create solutions and then come to you, manager. Will you allow that? This is still Agile team. Okay. Okay. That you are happy with the response. Awesome. And so, Krishna, I hope I did not disappoint you with the time boxing. I was very much worried.
I think you're
okay. So there is question.
We're doing very well on time, absolutely. And I think there's another question from Sandeep Tyagi. So Sandeep asks, but is it better to do experiment on a new research project or to take it from an experienced person or an expert? So that's the question that Sandeep is asking.
So Sandeep, when you engage into peer learning, or you engage into gathering voices and reflections from everyone in the ecosystem, it can be organization you're talking about, or it can be community project, just like regional Scrum gathering. When you are engaging everyone, you are good to go. You don't necessarily be the subject matter expert here. You don't have to be experienced person. You just need to be that enthusiastic person who will follow the process end to end. So then you can engage Nanda, you can engage Krishna, you can engage Vinay, and that's how you can actually define your pro, and they all can provide you input. So you don't need to be that experienced person. No, you just need to be the person who is owning the problem statement. Yeah, this looks like the problem, and I want to create the solution. So yeah.
So another part of that question, Niti, is it safe to do it in a new research project, or can we do this in existing ones as well? So that's the other part of Sandeep's question.
Okay, so it can be applicable to both. See, an existing project will require this. Why? Probably you want to improve on what you were doing, or you were not doing it right and you feel like it just keeps on failing again and again. Or maybe this is going, just like the Hawthorne workshop workflow equation, where the intensity of light was constantly increasing and you wanted retrospect. Is it like really the intensity of light, or maybe something else is the factor playing beyond? I feel like these three reasons are like genuine reasons wherein you can reflect on or create a probe around existing ecosystem, or when it is entirely new, then you are game. You actually should start with probing.
Great session. So if you guys have other great answer, Deepti. And I think whether you trademark it or not, I am going to use the obvious is not so obvious in my session. So I would tell you though. But great. All right. So Sandeep seems to be happy with the response. So guys, if you have other questions, comments, experiences that you want to share, we still have a good share of another, say, about 10 minutes. So feel free to share.
And so, in case, as Krishna allowed us, we still have few minutes, say 5 minutes more to be on safe to fail. If we have a statement for which we want to define a probe, I can actually totally do that. Because I am the only one who is allowed to speak, I'll speak. But if you want to toss a probe statement, it'll be so cool. So I think we are done with the probing and we are all sorted.
All right, so there's some really interesting feedback which says no question, but absolutely new perspective, that is learning fast and failing fast. So this is awesome. So I think maybe people may be digesting the new content, which is super cool. So Deepti, I have a question if you have the time, which is to say, can you share a couple of examples of where you have tried these probes, be it India, be it abroad, and how is people's reaction to this completely new experimental way of working? How soon was it? How easy was this to get people's buy?
So this becomes two questions from my personal work. So past 1.5 years had been entirely focused on community. And I have done tons of consulting, since I started independently. Towards the end of 2015 is when I started. And we have a problem statement from Pawan also. And with due respect to our time box, I'll take that up.
Sure.
But answering our question right here, so I used, of course, probes for retrospective, as Ashish also did. I did a lot of probes for experiments within team. For example, daily stand-up was not happening collectively, and people were not acting responsible or owning it. So probes I used there. Then we had a lot of handoffs, and handoffs were taking a lot of time, and so we defined probes there collectively. Also, one community project which I love very much was for our sales on the tickets as we run our events. We were wondering what options will be beneficial for participants and of course increase our sales. So we did a probe on the combos. What should be the combo? And team did it, and it was amazing. And so yeah, that is where we use probes, because these are all small safe to fail experiments. If I talk about scaling, where we used probing was when we were doing big PI planning. And when we were doing big PI planning, we sat down on retrospective and we came up with a lot of problem statements. And so then we all started suggesting, should this be a solution, should this be a solution? So that's where we started probing. So as I told you, even for a giant, there are probes coming from all the direction. It sounds more like 5 whys from the lean. Why? So yeah, so that's where we use probes. Does it help, Krishna?
Absolutely.
And you have taken it to. Thank you. And I've taken it to XP conference. If this year we had Agile conference, I would have, the big Agile 2020, I would have taken there. I have done this with a couple of organizations, and also with Agile Open Conference. I'm forgetting the name actually, a couple of them. So I've taken it to different international conferences, and it was so very well received. And I have seen Utah and John doing this repeatedly. I've seen this in the Big Agile, I've seen in the XP, I've seen this in Agile India. I have seen this with Agileathon when we did last year, and it has always received tremendous response. And so now jumping on to Pawan's question, and wherein I know, Krishna, we have 2 minutes in hand, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the statement is, need to figure out the Agile mindset of my Agile leaders, which would ideally reflect where we are in our Agile transformation, professional and personal. Okay. So this definitely is a big statement. If you roughly respond, and which is how human mind works, is you already have a solution. Do their assessment, right? Define few questionnaires and pass it on to them. So first of all, what we will need, Pawan, is a problem statement. Do our managers have, or do our leaders have Agile mindset? Probably that becomes our probe statement. And so to audience, to everyone here, can you think of what should be a probe statement here? He needs to figure out Agile mindset of my leaders, which would ideally reflect where we are in Agile transformation. So for me, if I have to say, my probe becomes, do our leaders have Agile mindset? And then when I think in the form of question, then I start having a hypothesis and a background in my mind. So first of all, I'll give the background. So which, of course, Pawan, you can define best. But if I were in your place, and I'm speaking again hypothetically, so I'll say their actions and their directions are in contradiction. They say, you have team spirit and do it as one team. But when it comes to do the assessment, they are doing it very much on the individual levels. And so then there will be multiple probes coming out. When you will start doing that, it's more like onion peeling. So then one layer, another layer, another layer. But it gives you a realization of how big and diverse the topic is, and wherein you can choose. Okay, fine. This gives a priority for us, ordering which one looks like most painful. So not just it gives you multiple experiments. It doesn't just increase your work. It gives you an idea of how big is this work, and it gives you idea of what becomes my top priority, and which all are not very important and important for me. So here, my question becomes, do our leaders have Agile mindset? And then my background is, This is what I have noticed in them. This is what I feel is missing in them. And so that is where my hypothesis starts, coming in form. So can I measure it? How can I measure it? And if I can measure it, what is it that I can do, which will prove, yes, they have it or they don't have it. So this is how you can go about this particular probe. Thank you. So Krishna, over to you.
So, all right. So I think this was fantastic. Deepti, I think I only saw, heaps of praise all along, and people singing laurels about how well you did. So thank you so much for carving the time to do this session. And thanks to all of the 49, 45, and at some point we hit about like 50 participants who carved out the time on a Friday evening to join us. It was fantastic interacting and learning something new. I certainly took a couple of leaves that I will use in my life and work. So thank you very much, and see you guys in the next session. But before you go, I think you should take a couple of minutes to respond to the poll. If you don't see I acknowledge the poll is not seen for our session, but a little while later, you should be able to see the poll. So please take a minute or two to respond, and we would love to figure out how we can do better if we would do this again. So thank you very much. Have a good night, and we'll stay in touch. Right.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thanks.